Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Thursday afternoon here, a little bit later than normal, but just like we talk about, the way it works sometimes. Get stuck with just me today. Trev is busy this week, and that's okay. It is summertime, and that happens. And just heads up, the next couple weeks, no idea when or where the podcast might be coming from or when it will be. Just going to be pretty busy this next few weeks and going on a vacation and everything else like that. So just bear with us. We'll 99% chance have the podcast, but bear with us on when it will be and where it might be coming from. So, just a couple, summertime thoughts here. We are in the dog days of summer. It is super warm here in Iowa. Been warm here for a while, and it's going to be warm here for a while. Just looking at the 10-day forecast, obviously next Saturday I'm getting married. So, and it is outside. So we've been looking at the weather pretty good, and it's about 90 degrees every day from now until then. A few chances of rain, but it looks good right now. So that's just summertime in Iowa. And I know other places are dealing with the same thing. And I know last weekend with the 4th of July, the Pella marching band was supposed to march in the parade, and they canceled the parade because it was 100 and some degrees and whatever it is. Stinks for them, but I know they made the best of it. And, we had a great time on the 4th with family and stuff like that, and hope everybody did as well. 9th of July now, kind of turning the page. This last week had Big 12 Media Days. And so football is starting to happen. So in the next week or so, it'll be the Big 10 Media Days and the SEC and the ACC and whatever other conferences might have theirs. But we are turning the page to football very, very soon. We here at Morgan You Asked For podcast are not going to quite turn it there yet. But I do want to talk a couple highlights out of the Big 12 Media Days. I know the big talker is the Monster Energy Big 12, the sponsorship deal. Overall, it's fine. I think the money probably could have been more than it is. It's roughly $1 million a team. Everybody's coming out and saying, well, certain teams are getting $5 million for their own. Well, I do think you're still able to do that. So good for you. Go get your own patch. I do think this is going to be integrated with the Big 12 patch. So it's not going to be the Big 12 patch plus a Monster Energy patch plus a different patch if your school decides to do that. I do think the Monster Energy will be incorporated with that Big 12 patch that's already on all the jerseys. So I don't think you're going to see a huge difference. So I don't think it's taken up extra real estate. Might be a little bit bigger, but that spot is already reserved for the conference logo. And for teams in the Big 10 and the SEC and the ACC, it's coming. Don't know who sponsor is, probably going to get more money. I get it, but it's coming to all of them. $1 million, does that change the big scheme of things? No, but that's one more basketball player. That's one more pretty good football player. It's just one more player that you're getting to pay for or that you can put to something else to use that money to pay it, and everybody does their own accounting with that. So that is really the only, I think, newsworthy thing out of the Big 12 that I want to talk about right now. The other thing this week, obviously, Team USA did lose to Belgium on Monday night, 4-1. We got outplayed. We got beat by a better team. Team USA picked the worst time to play their worst game. But I think Belgium had something to do with that. They're just better. It was the best team we had faced in the tournament. One of the top 10 teams in the world, I believe. And they made us look like we're not there yet. And that's okay. It had been a great opportunity. We were in Seattle, but a great chance to win that game. Better than if we were playing in Spain or Brazil or Australia or whatever, just because we did have the home crowd. But it shows that U.S. still has a step to go. I hope having it here in the U.S. here in 2026, in 2030, 2034, 2038, we get some players that maybe are on the fence of playing soccer that want to play soccer. I am right in the middle of this. Now, no way was Tyler ever probably going to play for the U.S. senior national team. But 7th grade, he played soccer in the fall. Maybe he didn't even play this last fall, but very recently, Tyler has decided not to play soccer anymore. He's decided to play baseball and football and basketball. And that historically is what happened in the U.S. Like, I'll be honest, I never even played an organized soccer game. We didn't even have it as an option, youth level or at the high school. I do believe they have it now, or at least I know they have it at the youth level. Can't say for the high school level. I don't know that for sure. But at the youth level, I know they do have it offered with some of the towns around them. Maybe not truly Adair or Casey, but I know people go to West Central Valley, Stuart Menlo area, that area, and play soccer if they want, right? I know Greenfield, Nottoway Valley has soccer as well. So there are opportunities, and then obviously just the way it is, you go to Des Moines and play anyway. That's just, it's not that far. That's what everybody does. My family and Tyler, we've chosen to do the baseball thing more, the travel-wise. Some people do soccer. I know one of Tyler's friends a couple of years ago chose to not play for Pell anymore and go up to Des Moines and play. And I'll be honest, I don't know how that's worked out for him. I'm sure he's a really good soccer player. And I'm sure coming back now into the high school scene very soon, it will help him in the long run. But that's the point. We need to get some of these elite athletes to continue with soccer instead of choosing football or baseball or basketball. Hopefully this inspires, especially some of the kids that, right or wrong, they're not going to be 6'4". They're not going to be 6'3". They're going to be the 5'10", 180-pounder that would be a really, really good soccer player and maybe not quite as valued in the other sports, because you think about basketball and football especially, and even baseball, your average Division I baseball player is 6'1", 185. That's still a pretty big person. NBA is even bigger, and the NFL, depending on the positions, it's just, they're all bigger, faster, stronger people. Soccer just takes a different level. Messi's like 5'7", 160, and he's the best in the world. None of those guys. Now, don't kid yourself. It pays to be big. Erling Haaland from Norway, 6'5". So the big super athletes are still there in soccer as well, and hopefully that comes out of the U.S. as well. That's the one thing with the U.S. is Christian Pulisic was supposed to be our guy, did not show up for this Olympics. And that's been my most, and I know we talked about this last week with Trevor, but that's been my most thing that I've noticed in this World Cup is these stars are showing up. Haaland has almost the most goals. Messi, Ronaldo scored, Mbappe, Kane. These stars are being the stars. And I call it the dudes are being the dudes. And that's what you want to see. When you look up and Argentina has 3 goals in 15 minutes, and Messi has 1 goal and an assist. When Norway scores 3 goals, all 3 of them are by Haaland. It's just the way it is. And Mbappe scores most of them for France. Messi, you can just go down the list. The stars are the stars, and they're being stars, and their teams are making them the stars. They're focusing on getting the ball to them in the positions where they can be successful. So that is what I've noticed about this World Cup, different than most. I've paid way more attention to this one, but I really, really like that about this sport. Stars are the stars, and the stars are showing up. How much I'm going to watch going forward, I don't know. I will probably try to tune in. There wasn't any game yesterday, which was kind of weird. I did kind of look on my phone for scores. I know there's some games today and going forward. Starting tomorrow, and this is kind of another one of the topics I'm going to hit, but starting tomorrow, I'll be in Cedar Rapids for the weekend for Tyler's state tournament. Mason is in Grimes in state tournament. I know got a couple other friends that have kids playing in Cedar Rapids or Grimes. And so good luck to all those teams out there playing for their state championship, whatever level, age group it might be. Do your best, have fun, and enjoy the times together. Because I know with Tyler's team and and just Tyler's age, some of these kids he's played baseball with since he was, 5, 6 years old in Little League for a couple of years, then on different teams. And we've had a new iteration this year, and next year maybe some new iterations, and then some kids are going to be playing high school ball and they're all going to different schools. Right now there's on the 12 players on his team, there's 3 schools represented. So and each school has different needs at the high school level. Some of Tyler's friends are probably going to be playing varsity baseball next year, or at least JV. Some of them won't, and that's okay. Some of them might not play baseball again. It's just, this is what they wanted to do, and maybe they're going to be a football player or a basketball player, and it doesn't matter. That's good. Everybody makes their choices and thinks they're doing the best thing, and they are doing the best thing for themselves, and that's what this is all about. So enjoy the time with people. You never know what's going to end. Speaking of ending and potential endings, and farther than we thought, Connor, Laura's son, plays for Albia, has won 2 games in the playoffs. Now, the first playoff game they were probably on paper supposed to win, but they were down most of the game and came back and won. And then the other night at Cardinal, really we're supposed to lose, the number 1 seed Cardinal Comets, and they got to the pitcher first inning and then hung on for 11-3 win, or 11-5 win. It really wasn't a hang on. They were ahead good all game. So they play Saturday night at Central Lee, the Hawks down there in Southeast Iowa, in the corner of Southeast Iowa. So they will be there. And, if you play well, you win. You don't play well, you go home. And that's most likely, I believe it will be his last game ever in an organized sense and as a team in that situation. Not that you can't go play baseball. They've got adult leagues, and yes, it is real baseball. I know I've umpired it. I played in it a couple times, in college or whatever for different things. So there are opportunities, but it's still not the same. So, he's enjoying his last few days with his friends because, in that situation, when you graduated everything and people are going to different college, I think, all the seniors on that team are all going to a different school. I do believe they're all staying in Iowa. I mean, it's a BV, a Simpson, a Central, an Iowa State, and then kind of going into the trade in the workforce. But the trades, I think HVAC is what he's doing, which is a really good thing as well. I've got a friend that does that, and he does very well, and that's a great thing as well. So it's never the same after you graduate. Not that, I still see, speaking of the baseball thing, high school friends, Greg Westergaard and Mark Reha and their sons were all the same age, and they're all playing the same division for 3 different teams. And we played each other, and then we've been in the same tournaments where we didn't play each other. And then, Tracy Troster, her son's, a little bit older, but he's seen him around. And then Renee Simlink, who's a year younger, but she's got a son that same age as that we played over the years as well. So it is kind of funny how the world's big, but the world's small. We show up at these places and you run into the same people you grew up in a town of 700 in. So, and some of it is, none of us went very far. We're all still in the central Iowa in Des Moines, and we all congregate in Des Moines for different things. But that's just what it is. And enjoying your friends, and then seeing your friends' kids succeed. And I know a couple years ago, I think this was on Facebook or whatever, but Greg's son, Mark's son, and my sons were all in a home run derby together. That's just fun. When we were their age, this kind of stuff didn't happen. It's the difference in youth sports now, and we all kind of laugh at how much money we spend on our sons and daughters, whatever it might be, doing things compared to what our parents spent on us. And some of it wasn't that our parents wouldn't have spent it on it. It just wasn't the option, and just these leagues and these tournaments and everything just not the same. And that's not good, bad, or ugly. It's just the way it is right now. And it's a good thing. I think having kids play sports, I made my life out of that, coaching PE and coaching different sports in my life. I just think the value of athletics and what it teaches people and is invaluable. And I think it doesn't matter what you do outside of the sport, it helps in that aspect. So I will always be a huge advocate for that, and we'll continue to do that well after my son's playing, and then hopefully my grandkids are playing. We can do that stuff again. And again, it doesn't have to be necessarily the big baseball, football, basketball. I know that there's dance and there's tumbling and there's, you name it, you can find something to do. And I know there's some of my friends that do some horseback riding stuff, and that's just as crazy as everything else. So just find whatever you're passionate in, whatever your kids are passionate in, or grandkids, or whoever is important to you, and then just get behind them and support them the best you can. And that's different for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just support, and show them that you care, that you're interested in them, and that you love watching them do whatever it is they do. Whether they're the best player, the worst player, it doesn't matter. You want them to be part of a team and try to get those attributes to themselves. And I know that's one thing I'm really working on with my son Tyler. Being a better teammate, cheering on people. Even when you don't have the best day, your team won, be super happy. Even though I know deep down you're a little bit, and that's everybody. Everybody wants to do awesome all the time. That's just not the way sport happens. But, one day you're going to have 3 hits and you might lose. The next day you have 0 hits, your team wins. That's just baseball. Or you can do the same thing in every other sport. But how you handle it, how you control it, how you act around other people are just so important. And I hope kids get benefits from that, and I know they do. One of the last things I want to talk about here, just a little bit, Caitlin Clark. Again, she did play last night. They won, or they did lose to Los Angeles. Kate Martin was on the bench there. Kelsey was not playing, but that league has got to figure it out, and we talk about it all the time. Voted Caitlin Clark like the 11th best guard, and I saw a thing. And again, you got to be careful with these. You never know if it's true or false, but I do believe this one. She was just Candace Parker, one of the greatest players ever, just shaking her head. It's like, if she's the 11th best guard, there's just something wrong. And that was the players. That wasn't the fans. That wasn't the media. They had her all in the top 5, I believe. But the players themselves, just for some reason, that league has chosen to not like her and just make it really, really hard for her. And hopefully it turns around. I know I watched it a little bit last night, but I ended up just going to bed. So that's really all I got for you this week, about shy of 20 minutes here on my own. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for listening. I know summertime's crazy. I know the podcasts I listen to, sometimes I get behind, so I understand that. Just do your best. Tell people about it if you think they'd like it. And, if you can, rate, review, subscribe, all the things, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you listen to, it's on there. I'm sure you can find it. And if you cannot, you can get a hold of us anyway at morganyas4podcast@gmail.com, or you have my Twitter, my whatever. You can just get a hold of me. Most of you that listen to this have my phone number, so just call me if you need anything, whatever. But again, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, making this fun. Trev and I, like we talk about, we don't get paid to do this. We just do it for fun and kind of letting our thoughts out and getting it out there to different people that might want to hear it. So thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to everybody next week.